You're gonna give me money?
Yes.
For what?
Just being great.
I'll take it. So, hey, here we are. We're gonna wash this Jeep. We just took it for a drive. You can check out the ownership impressions video here with a friend who's got this super cool Wrangler Sahara 4xe. So it's got the hybrid package on it. 1,000 pounds of battery in this, 17 kilowatt hours or so of battery in it. Lets you go about 20 some miles on a charge. Really neat car. We're just getting that initial wet down. We've got our pressure washer here. It's a pretty generic pressure washer. You can get these at Home Depot for about $150. I got a fairly high pressure tip on it right now. Pretty handy for starting to blast that dirt off. Kind of got our mise en place set up here for us to start cooking. We've got 4 or 5 fresh microfiber towels right here. These are all, you know, straight out of either the laundry or brand new. We've got a small detailing brush. We use this guy to get inside on a lot of the trim that's harder to get, you know, say getting down inside of some of these crevices. We have our wheel bucket here. We've got a wheel interior brush, very similar to a wheel woolly, or what we call the wheel woolly. There's soap in both buckets. We've got a couple microfibers to use on the wheels. These are black wheels. Normally I only use one. This time we'll probably use a couple, just because these are gloss black wheels. Larger brush, use this on lug nuts. Foam gun, and we'll get underway here with a quick spray down. We'll fire the pressure washer up and just start hosing the car down. So, you know, thankfully our owner here, who is with us and is maybe going to pay me, that's what I just heard, for services rendered, is you know, a detailing nut as well. And so this is actually dirty but really quite clean. So what I like to do is just go around, blast as much kind of dirt off the bat with a pressure washer as you can. No downside to using water pressure to be able to unslick a lot of this. You gotta, oh, our hose is catching back up. There we go. Come on. This is what happens when there's air in your hose line into your pressure washer. It'll sort itself out here. But yeah, just going around using that water pressure to do that initial blast off. I'll try to keep the, you know, car slicked down, making a lot of noise. I'm sure this is a super helpful thing to hear so much of, but we'll just come back through. And I heard this car has this Jeep has 18,000 miles on it. It's on its second Gorilla Glass windshield, and that just goes to show you, you look at that windshield angle, man, it is very upright, a little bit different than a sports car, that's for sure. But we'll go through and get this all slicked down. We're kind of hiding it in the shade a little bit, and coming through, get that running board really good. And this is a really important first step to removing dirt, right? So on paint, you have a clear coat that sits on top of a color coat that sits on top of primer, and then the metal. So it's 3 layers and then metal, the body panel beneath that. The thing that I'll say that you always have to watch for is lub marks and swirl marks in that clear coat. This is what dulls the finish. This is what makes a car look like it's been scratched on. We're not talking about scratches. Scratches you can physically feel with a fingernail. These are going to be, you know, things that look like swirls or are swirls. And oh, look at that, we got the Sunrider top. So we'll be a little gentler with that top. That's good to be aware of. And we'll go from there. So we're going to try to avoid a lot of those swirls and scratches by getting as much dirt off the car off the bat as humanly possible. We're going to come back through here, take our pressure washer head off, swap our foam gun on, and go to town here with the foam. Nice thick coat of foam. You can use a bunch of different car wash soaps for this. Chemical Guys makes a couple good products. Meguiar's does. Turtle Wax. There's a bunch of folks that make great wash soaps. Nothing wrong with any of them. You can't go too far wrong with any of them. I generally tend to try to coat the whole car down on each side at least twice. I feel like that's just a good way to make sure you're getting full coverage. I do the wheels too. Do that undercarriage where you can see it, the roof. You know, this soap, the foam, will act as a surfactant and begin to remove a lot of the dirt off the car. It will soften and loosen that dirt. And we'll just come back around for that second pass. So you'll see it's just kind of dripping off the car. Our friend here doesn't have a highway commute, so this is bereft of a lot of the bug strikes the bug strikes that you frequently see on Jeeps. Jeeps tend to, because of their upright posture, upright front fascia, they get a lot of bugs. And that's just kind of the nature of the game, especially in the summer. In states or warm weather states, you get a lot of bugs. So we'll come back through here. Second pass with the foam gun. Make sure we get all the little nooks and crannies. Jeeps have fairly complex tails because of this this spare tire that hangs off them. So they accumulate dirt in spots behind there. They also have a lot of body gaps, a lot of body lines along here. They're fairly large, and so you're just getting a lot of dirt accumulated in some of these places. So love to come in with the foam gun, get that foam action going. This won't remove all the dirt and all the grime. That's what you got to come through with a more detailed wash here in a minute, but it's a great start to do this. Decent foam cannon like this guy right out here. I think I got this guy on sale for like $10. They're very cheap. If you've already got a pressure washer, worth the investment. You put about this much soap in here, you fill the rest with water, and you get all this beautiful foam. You honestly, I'm probably going overkill here with the foam, but you know what, it's fun. And when everybody drives by, they're always like, man, what's that guy doing? He really looks like he knows what he's doing, even though we probably don't. So come back through one more pass here on the front, and I think we're probably good with the foam gun. So that is set. And as usual, one of the things that we have forgotten is our wheel spray. So we're gonna grab that and review right now. And we're back. We need this. This is some diluted down wheel cleaner. I buy it in bulk by the gallon, diluted down about probably 4:1, 5:1. I like to hit the wheels with that alongside the soap. And you can see, you know, it's a little bit more aggressive. It starts to kind of chew at that soap and foam a little bit. Put a fair amount on. This is a product that I don't think you can use too much of. Something to think about. Also, let's not forget that we've got a wheel back here. We'll be a little more surgical with this. It's a different level of dirt on this wheel, so we don't need to be quite as crazy. Brake dust is not something that happens, hopefully, on that wheel on the back of the car. You never know. And put this thing on its head, given how Jeeps drive. But we're gonna just jump through, hose these down pretty well. We're gonna grab our wheel bucket. And all this time, we're giving this soap time to dwell. We're giving all this surfactants in this soap that time to really eat into the paint and or eat into the dirt that's floating on top of that paint. And you can see how smooth that is now. It's almost very glassy. Soap is full of a surfactant property that allows it to make water run a little bit easier. So here we are with our wheel brush. Come in. I usually like to get the tread or the wheel, or the face of the wheel, face of the tire first. And then you can jump into the lug nuts, each individually with that. And then I'll often take the microfiber and just kind of glide it over. These are black wheels. I'm being a little bit more conscientious here than I would with silver or just more traditional wheels. You'll see a little bit of dirt coming off, and they were pretty clean. The owner is clearly pretty compulsive about this, and I appreciate that very much. Yeah. And we'll just come in and, you know, get a little bit of that action. The only thing I don't like about this particular product, it tends to, when you pull it out from between the spokes, spray back at you, and that can get a little annoying. But the other thing that I've had issues with this particular product, this, you know, wheel brush, internal wheel brush product, is that it's shorter. My Camaro's got 11-inch deep wheels. This is not 11 inches long. There's a definitely, that's what she said, joking there, but it's definitely not 11 inches, and that is not enough for our 1LE Camaro parked over there in the garage. So we'll just come through and get inside all these spokes here. I'll sometimes also take this, just dunk it back in our wash soap here, and just get up inside this space as well. You know, it's an area that gets a lot of run up from the car. The other thing that I'll say, I never like using something I'm using on the body panels on this sort of textured plastic that the running boards are made out of. So we'll come through with this brush and just kind of work that soap in to get this nice and clean. And this is easy. You won't scratch anything. You won't do any damage with it. Saves your microfibers for the actual paint where it really matters. You know, you can get some of that trim. Love these brushes. I'll just say that. I think these are the detailer's best friend. They're cheap. They cost a few bucks each. When they get really bad, you can use them for other stuff. You can use them under the hood, you can use them in the undercarriage, and then you can use them right into the trash. So that's a nice way to go about using these and go through that whole process of life cycle of one of these. And this is not something we're worried about, a ton of swirls and scratches, but you can see down here, look at this coming, the dirt running off here down in the soap on the ground. But we just got a good pass on the lug nuts, make sure we get our Jeep logo. We'll use the other side of this guy that we didn't use on the front wheel and just come through and hose this down. The rear wheels are dirtier than the fronts, which is kind of interesting, but I think they just might be getting exposed to a little bit more dust and dirt. We just did an ownership drive off-road, and off-road by like on a gravel road, which given the condition of the gravel roads feels like off-road. If you don't have a wheel woolly and you're tired of this thing hitting you in the face, you can take a little bit of extra soap and just actually get in there with your hand and this actual rag and work your way the whole way around it. It's a little bit harder. You can't be super ham-fisted, so to speak. You got to be cognizant. I'm wearing my good Seiko watch, so I don't want to use the metal on the metal there with our good Seiko. But this allows you to get into those nooks and crannies inside of the wheel and get those barrels clean, because with black barrels you're going to see the dirt inside. You can also come in through, use the microfiber on that, get a little bit of this space here with our big fancy brush. This guy's way less dirty. We'll start with our clean microfiber on this side. We'll just work our way around with this. Getting a little sun. I don't like to wash in direct sunlight, but there's no solution to. Yes, thank you. My assistant here is going to start hopping up and down. That's going to really help us. But here we go. Get this guy done up. Okay, so our owner's standing here behind me, speccing my work, and I'm just curious. How do you detail this particular wheel? Do you treat it like a wheel, or do you treat it like part of the car when you do this? Part of the car. Treat it like part of the car. So you're never using your wheel stuff on this wheel like I am right now.
I reach into the hub with an actual rag into the larger openings and use the microfiber and swish it around, because it really never picks up road grime.
That's a fair point. So we'll try this guy with this brush and maybe see what it looks like when it's done. And you know, life is an experiment, so we might as well see what works best here. This tends to be a pretty safe.
Brushes you use as well.
This guy, similar?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the detail brushes, I have 3 different sizes.
Yeah.
Which I use on all the badging, wherever paint touches plastic, to get those nooks and crannies. Where a traditional microfiber is not going to get those spots.
Yeah.
There's a lot of open angles on this vehicle.
Yeah, there's a lot of places on it that, you know, you've got a lot of crevices, right? I mean, that's probably the easiest way to say it. You got a lot of panel gaps, a lot of panels. They're a complex vehicle, and they're, of course, prone to be being used in a manner that is not conducive to them being particularly clean, which is another thing to think about. So I know this is an area that some people probably say, hey, you got to use 2 buckets, or hey, you got to go crazy. I am being a little bit more conscientious here, just because you are rolling on these glossier black wheels, and we'll go through and easier to scratch, all that stuff, but we'll go through and try to do a nice job with them. And I don't, have you found that they're a little bit more durable than the paint, that they've got a little harder finish on them?
Yes.
That's kind of how it usually works. So, but OEMs have gotten a lot better with their tire tech than they used to. They're a lot more conscientious about their tire tech and wheel tech. So this is an area that was ripe for a little bit of innovation and all that good stuff. But so we'll come through here again on this side, hitting our nothing like a dually pulling a trailer.
There was a dually landscape trailer passing in the right.
Nice.
Dodge Ram, 2-cab Jeep.
They are definitely heading back to the trailer park right up the road.
There's a new truck.
Yeah, so for sure. sometimes I like to just toss a little bit of the water, the wash soap at these just to slick them back down. Unfortunately, we're getting a little bit of sun, and that's a little bit annoying to say the least, just as we deal with parts possibly drying a little bit. So we'll have to keep them a little bit wetter as we work through that cleaning process on them. But these aren't really too terribly soiled. You can see a little bit of the dirt coming off here in my hand, but you've done your due diligence on these, and I can tell that they're very clean to start with. And there's nothing worse than working on one of these and doing it the first time and realizing it's so trash you got to do it again, which is never a fun part of the process. So
a little preventative maintenance makes a big difference.
it does, and it's, you know, one of those things. If you keep a Jeep nice, much like anything that's body on frame, frame rust is what you really are going to have to be nervous or conscientious of long term, maybe 5, 10, 15 years of ownership. That's something that, you know, you see, and that can be fixed by maybe going to a service like a Crown, or doing a Line-X type rust proofing underneath, and then going from there. But let's come back through a little bit of that. Behind here a little bit, just notice that's kind of rough. And now we're pretty much done with the wheels. So what we're going to do, and this is kind of just force of habit, come back to our trusty pressure washer here. We're going to blast it off real quick. Nothing crazy. You don't need to rinse all the soap off it. I like to do the wheels in case I missed anything. I like to just kind of get that soap moving around again. Get a little pressure on that soap. And be able to just clean off the wheels a little bit. And that just helps remove some of that dirt that might have been loosened, right? Just kind of get it all moving downhill towards the bottom of the car. No downside to taking an extra minute to do this. And you know, there's still plenty of soap on the car. You're going to be using a fresh soapy rag. So I'm not really worried about now, you know, washing a car that's completely clean, you know, that I've already dried and maybe something stuck on and I'm not getting a lot of, you know, protection from a scratch or a swirl mark. But we'll just jump in here. We'll start with one clean microfiber right here. And I always tell people you just glide it along the paint as best you can. I try to do the top surfaces of the car first, the upper surfaces of the car first. You're going to get a lot more mileage out of one of these rags on the top surfaces of the car, just because you're not as dirty. The closer you get to the ground, the dirtier the car is going to be, and this is something I think is really easy to do. So you're starting with a clean microfiber and just working your way, you know, kind of across the car, hitting all the spots that you're worried about potentially being dirty and having some dirt residing on them. Well, you got to have long arms for a Jeep, I'll tell you that. Okay, there we go.
That gorilla in the corner of the glass.
Oh yeah, this guy, he's mean. I've heard he's kind of mean there, that gorilla. So we'll just we'll do the top parts of the car. It's got a Sunrider roof, which we'll actually jump up on a running board to show you. I like to get the mirrors during this part of the process. So we'll just come across. Try to keep things relatively straight line when I'm doing this, because if there is anything picked up, there are any contaminants, something big on the car, you're putting scratches in it in a straight line, which are much easier to fix than scratches that are in a circle. Circle scratches are not fun. We're gonna skip the back of the Jeep here real quick, just because I find that that's gonna be one of the dirtiest parts of the car. We're gonna climb up on the tire and show you the Sunrider roof. So when this Jeep is on and running, you can roll this Sunrider roof all the way back to about right here. This folds up like a big convertible top. So it's I joke it's like a convertible inside of a convertible, which is effectively what it is. But this top needs to be cleaned. It is a fabric canvas type product, and has to be conscientious. The other thing that I really like to watch on these, just because of what they are, that rub rail along here. Easy to get stuff accumulating in there. You'll see, look at that, that's from that rub rail right there that we just went through, just that one little patch. So always important to watch that. We're gonna come back across, just finish out with the top part of the car here. On this side, thankfully the top of this wasn't too dirty. And has this ever been ceramic coated?
No.
You wax it pretty religiously though, right?
Nope. or wax on it since I've had it.
That's incredible. What product do you use then to sort of protect it, or do you just regularly wash it with a name brand wash?
Name brand wash. I lately have been using the McGuire's product.
Ooh, someone's doing a pull. Oh, he's going the other way. No fun. Oh, shocking. He saw a pedestrian.
So right now I use that. I was using a Rain-X car wash as well initially.
Okay.
When I ran out, I went to the McGuire's car wash, and it almost feels like it's been waxed when you dry it.
Yeah, I gotta say, you know, as a company that makes over-the-counter products, McGuire's is one of the absolute best. They've got a hotline, an 800 number. If you screw up with anything, they'll help you out. I'm hitting the grill in the front with this rag now that it's starting to get a little bit soiled. This is an area on a car in Michigan that I tend to care a lot less about. Your mileage may vary, but that's just simply because this has a big plastic texturized front bumper, and also not super worried about scratches and swirls in these really tiny parts of the car that frankly tend to get the crap beat out of them by anything rolling down the highway. But we'll come back through with a detail brush here in a second, because we got a lot of nooks and crannies on the nose of this thing that really could use some attention. So we'll come back through, just get across the bottom here, and now you can see that this rag, which started off yellow, is no longer particularly yellow. It's looking a little dingy. So that's part of this process. Here's our little detail brush. We'll get that into the fog lights, mesh right there. Keep coming back for a little bit of love around some of these spots, into this crevice here on the front. This is an area that's not easy to get into, and so this is where a detail brush really shines in getting those spots around here that just aren't easy to clean, sometimes down into these nooks and crannies. And come back through. Let me grab a little more wash soap. When in doubt, grab more wash soap. You can't go wrong with more wash soap. It's going to give you that lubricity and keep your paint from getting scratched and all that other good stuff on safety. So we'll do that right there. We'll grab our next microfiber, come across to do passenger side of the car. These are nice big chemical guys, microfibers. I use these as drying rags a lot. They're just a huge piece of turf, and they do a nice job. But we'll come through, get around a lot of these areas. Look at these little rivets even down into those spaces, around the mirrors. A lot of crevices. That's really where door hinges. I mean, these things just have a lot of little spots and pockets for dirt to hide in. For a car that's designed to go off-road, they're certainly not designed to be cleaned immediately after. I do around the emblems with the brush. The brush starts getting dry, we'll just get a little wash soap on it. And we'll come. And of course, we ran out of battery there on our GoPro, but we're just gonna work our way around now, hitting all the other areas on the car that we hadn't hit before with a clean microfiber. I tend to try to work top to bottom, so we'll come across here, you know, doing the upper parts of the car, parts around the door handles, you know, these areas that get a little bit soiled, and then working my way downward with this microfiber towards the fenders and the fender flares and all that other stuff. These are going to be some of the dirtiest parts of the car, this space along here, and you can totally see that here with the amount of dirt that accumulates in these spaces. So we're going to use this big soft microfiber, glide along, very easy, remove all that dirt, and not have to worry about scratches and swirls, because now that dirt is on here, we're good. So since this is already a bit dirty, we'll come around and get this chunk of the texturized rear bumper, and that's just not something you have to really worry about scratching or swirling or anything like that. But you've got a wet microfiber, it's got a little life left in it, you might as well go ahead and take a crack at some of those things that, you know, don't really scratch. For example, a door handle, maybe the, you know, face of this wheel. You can see some spots that we missed on this wheel for sure, just because they're gloss black. So always important to kind of spec your work. And these wheels I'd probably actually hand dry, just because of the gloss black. It's a pain in the butt, it takes time, but definitely how I would do that. We're gonna move to the dirtiest part of the car, and you're not gonna put this back in here, I just nearly did. This guy's spent, so we're gonna go get another clean one. Oh, that sounds cool. What do we got? Pickup truck? Anything? Oh, there we go, Grand Sport Corvette. I approve. All right, so we're just gonna come through, wipe the whole back down here, get into these spaces. Corvette? Yeah, it sounded good. Grand Sport, great choice. C6 Grand Sport, absolutely great cars. One of my favorite cars to drive. They still have that vibe of I'm trying to kill you, which is not something you get in a sports car, unfortunately, as much anymore. And that's something that I see as a lot of fun. So we'll just get into this crevices and cracks back here. This is an area that you really got to probably really try to focus on, and there's some dirt hiding back in there. I'd imagine on a consumer-owned one of these where the owner isn't quite as OCD as the one standing here alongside me, this is going to be a really, really dirty part of a Jeep. Somewhere that if you're buying one used, you're going to need to take some time to really recondition, just because of the nature of that. So come in here, get that piece that holds that wheel on, and a little bit of this. Okay. All right, so the back's pretty much good there. I think we're pretty much good. Getting a few of these. I got to grab my detail brush back out of the bin here, get a few of those spots. Oop, didn't mean to throw that in there. There we go. We're gonna get the other side of the car now. So here we are. Oh, there's a long spot there that could use a little love. Just coming back through. Detail brush.
Poke that out.
Oh yeah, what we got hiding in there? This is a great. No. Yeah, my hands are soaked. So we got a little, looks like pine needle stuck in there. We're gonna fish that out, no problem there. Maybe a credit card might do it. There we go. Just your driver's license. They haven't shredded it yet.
Michigan driver's license.
Still time for them to shred it. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, viewers. Donk. Occupational hazard as a YouTube subscriber right there. Sorry about that. All right, we're just gonna move along here and try to finish this side of the car down. It's getting a little dry, so we want to move kind of quick here. So sorry if this is getting a little shaky. This area inside here, this is going to be a dirt pocket as well, and something you can hit with a detail brush. You know, same thing with around these junctions and joints, stuff like this. And so we're just coming back through to just get that last layer of dirt off that lowest part of the car, and you'll really see here when we're done where all that dirt is hiding on these cars. So we'll get into some of these crevices, some of these little spots along the glass. Yeah, this car has a lot of spots where that stuff's hiding. So with that said, I think we're probably ready to give it a good splash down here. And I always try to keep a reserve microfiber in here if we catch anything after, just in case. I'll use that too to do door jams. We'll start with the roof. Try to go with a little easier touch on the roof just because that's a canvas roof. You want to be conscientious of that. You got that rail. Man, there are a lot of cracks and crevices on these cars. Whew. There's a lot of places for soap and dirt to hide. I think that's just kind of the nature of them. Come back here. Get that wheel good. see what we got up here. Yeah, we got a fair amount of soap still living up here. So we're just gonna come back through, try to work that backwards towards the back of the car. Again, being conscientious, this is a canvas top. We want to be nice to it. So we'll get a good blast of soap coming out of all the pores in the back here. All right, one last quick once around, and we'll get to drying. You always start with the glass. Yeah, that's a fair point. So one of the things about drying with a microfiber, and this is a really big microfiber, I have one of these for drying, I love it, is that you want to start on the glass to get your microfiber a little bit damp. Very, very hard to scratch auto glass, so you don't have to worry as much about swirls, and you're adding lubrication to your microfiber to be able to have it work on the paint with a little bit of that water and wash residue that's still on the car. So that's a good trip for you. That's a Larry from Ammo NYC trick. We always appreciate him. He really knows his stuff, and that lets us come through. Look at this, I've even pressed the owner into service, about time. So that lets you come through and kind of hit all your spots. This is an area that you're gonna wanna be conscious of in these Jeeps. You can see it dripping water here. This is probably a place in the winter where it's gonna accumulate stuff. So that's always something to think about when you're washing a car is, hey, where are those places that if I don't, be attentive to this, it's going to cause me harm down the line, and that is absolutely one of them. So we'll just come through here, just kind of get an initial dry on a lot of this stuff. I want to do this wheel too, this gloss black wheel. People see this. It's going to be something that's visually, in front of them, and this is a good time if you miss any little spots. You see, you'll pick up a little dirt there. That's going to happen. Just kind of rotate the towel around to an area that's not soiled. That way you don't have to worry about scratching anything. So especially on a complex car like this, there's always going to be places, no matter how diligent you are, that are really going to accumulate water and dirt and just be very difficult to manage. So that's just kind of part of the game and something you got to get used to. But here we go, kind of nice big towel here, working our way across. And this is like an 80-90% dry. We're just trying to get the bulk of the water off the paint, off the glass, to be able to then come back through with a much, nicer new microfiber, maybe a little quick detailer, and just sort of glide the water off. There's no pressure in what I'm doing right here. You'll notice we're not pushing down on the car. We're just sort of letting the microfiber be that Velcro for water that it is, and sort of suck through all of that water. All right, and what you'll start seeing is, places develop that you need to come back through and, actually dry off pretty thoroughly. This is not an easy car to dry. No. It's complex. I almost want to use something like a master blaster or some airflow to sort of agitate in some of these spaces, but
it's as high maintenance as the owner.
It is as high maintenance as the owner, and let me tell you, I know the owner, very high maintenance. So just come back through, get a lot of this off here. Try to avoid having your big towel drag on the ground. That's going to kill it. Anything that touches the ground is lava when you're detailing. That immediately makes this stuff, unfortunately, washer feed, and it's got to go get cleaned up. But yeah, Chrysler spent a lot of time and effort to make these things quieter and more aerodynamically efficient. And of course, what that means is they've got a lot more door seals and a lot more places where dirt can accumulate. So one thing I'll focus on too, just to mention, sometimes you're going to catch a spot that you didn't quite get as good as you could have. And that's going to happen on any car. You're human, you're going to miss things. And you'll see that right down here, right along this edge, there's some dirt that's accumulated. I'll take that spare microfiber with wash on it, wring it out, and just come back through, real light touch. And you see I just picked all that dirt up right there, and now you can just dry it off. No need to worry about coming back through with the hose and ruining all your work. It's a nice, easy way to do this and make sure it's back to shiny. So man, you can see that here in the sun. You can tell, 20,000 miles in this Jeep, I can barely see a swirl mark or a love mark on it. It's really impressive, and clearly shows that someone has been kind of following the techniques required to not have swirl marks, not do damage to your paint. And again, this spot is still dripping. Whew. So that's probably where the Sunrider top up above us here drains out, and that's got a ton of water in it. You know, that's already like almost like a sponge itself because of fabric. So we'll jump up there real quick and just show you how to address that. I'll climb up on top here, and I'll take this towel and I'll just work my way the whole way across. Yep. And now that this towel is pretty well, this guy's got soap on it still, so we're gonna set that aside. And just, you know, now this towel's really kind of wet, kind of suck all that water up and get probably 90 or 100% of that water off. And this towel is now completely saturated. This big drying towel that we started with is completely soaked through. Ooh, there's another little spot we missed right on that edge there. So there you go. Toss that back in there. We're gonna hang this towel up. I think I get 1 or 2 uses out of these before I say, hey, this probably needs a wash. I think this guy's approaching the point it's gonna need a wash, which is totally fine. But here's our final product. And yeah, you see, if the towel gets totally wet, wring it out, it'll still be pretty effective. We'll probably move on to drying the wheels here in a second and get those all extra shiny. You know, wheel drying is one of my last steps, just because it tends to be the area where dirt gets missed and it's kind of gross and you don't want to spread it around on the car. So that's a quick overview detail of this quick wash Sahara 4xe. Really neat car. Got a chance to drive it. Like, subscribe, check out the ownership review and the drive of it. It's 2022, and this is certainly something you can still go to a dealer and get on the lot today. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.